You are standing on the edge, closer than you have ever been, and yet more tired than ever before. You feel the weight of waiting, the silence of unanswered prayers, the hollow ache of wondering if you've been fooling yourself all along. And in this very moment, you think about letting go, but listen carefully. The truth is this: when you are closest to giving up, you are also closest to the miracle. The moment of surrender is the very threshold where everything begins to shift. Neville Goddard said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persist. Persist, even when every part of you wants to stop. Persist, even when the evidence outside screams against you. Persist, because the unseen is already forming, shaping, pressing itself into your world. Right now, you are standing at the doorway of your answered desire. You cannot see it yet. You cannot touch it yet. But it is there, waiting for your persistence to let it in. Think of how many times in your life you almost stopped, only to realize later that the breakthrough was only a breath away. Think of the harvest that comes after the longest night. Think of the seed buried in the dark earth, silent, invisible, yet alive, about to break through the soil. That is you, right now. You imagine and you wait. You hold the picture in your mind and you doubt. You assume the feeling and the world mocks you. But if you let go now, you cut the seed before it blooms. If you stop now, you deny yourself the very blessing that was already yours. So hear these words as if they were written only for you. Please, keep going. You are so close. This journey is not about forcing the world. It is about holding the inner picture steady until the world bends to it. And it will. It always does, because imagination creates reality. Not sometimes, not maybe, always. The question is not whether it will come. The question is, will you hold on long enough to see it? Do not measure by appearances. Do not let the silence trick you. The silence before dawn is always the loudest. The resistance is always greatest just before the breakthrough. Your work is simple. Stay. Stay with the picture. Stay with the state. Stay with the version of you that already has it. And when doubt rises, and it will, remind yourself, this is the test. This is the fire that forges faith. This is the moment Neville spoke of, when persistence proves stronger than appearances. You have carried your desire this far. Do not abandon it now, because what you want already belongs to you. It is finished. And the only thing left is for you to keep going until you see with your eyes what you have already accepted in your heart. So breathe, lift your head, hold the picture once more, and remember, please, keep going. You are so close. The weight of almost giving up. You know the feeling. It starts as a quiet whisper, then grows into a heavy presence inside you. It is the weight of waiting, the ache of hoping for something that seems too far away. You wake up in the morning with the same thought, why hasn't it happened yet? You go to bed at night carrying the same question, what if it never comes? And little by little, doubt settles in like an unwelcome guest. This is the moment so many surrender. Not because the desire isn't real, not because the law doesn't work, but because the waiting feels unbearable. Neville Goddard called this the trial of faith. It is the silent war between the unseen truth and the visible lie. Your imagination declares, it is done. But your senses shout, nothing has changed. And caught in between, you feel the weight pressing harder and harder. This is when your mind tempts you with escape. It tells you, just stop imagining, stop believing. Protect yourself from disappointment. But that is not protection. That is surrender. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He does not dig it up every morning to check if it is growing. He waits, he waters, he trusts the unseen process. Yet here you are, staring at the soil of your life, convinced that silence means failure. But silence is not failure. It is formation. The weight you feel is not proof that nothing is happening. It is proof that you are carrying something powerful inside you. You are pregnant with the unseen, and the tension you feel is labor pain. You may think you are alone in this struggle, but every soul who has ever created by faith has walked this very road. They too felt the heaviness. They too wanted to quit. And yet those who pressed on discovered the hidden truth. The moment of greatest weight is the moment closest to delivery. So here you are, standing in the middle of the storm of doubt, exhausted, tempted to stop. But listen closely. This weight is not your enemy. It is your proof. It is the sign that you are nearer than you think. Do not drop it now. Do not trade a lifetime of fulfillment for a moment of relief, because the heaviness you feel today is the doorway to the miracle waiting for you tomorrow. The illusion of failure. Failure. It is the word that echoes in your mind when nothing seems to change. You look around and the evidence appears undeniable. The money hasn't come, the relationship hasn't shifted, the body hasn't healed. You tell yourself, I must be doing something wrong. Maybe this just doesn't work for me. But pause. Look deeper. What you call failure is only appearance. It is not truth. Neville Goddard taught that the world you see with your eyes is nothing more than the shadow of your inner state. A delayed shadow is not failure. A silent moment is not defeat. It is simply the lag between imagination and manifestation. Think of it like an echo. You speak, and there is a moment of silence before your voice returns. Do you panic in that silence? Do you assume your voice was swallowed by the air? No. You know the echo is on its way. So why do you doubt when your imagination speaks, but the world has not yet replied? Failure is only an illusion created by impatience. It is the trick of the senses, the lie of appearances. And if you accept it as truth, you cut short the very process that was bringing your desire to you. Right now, what you call nothing may in fact be the rearranging of everything. Invisible currents are moving, paths are being shaped, people are being positioned. But because you cannot see it with your eyes, you assume it is not real. This is why Neville warned, do not judge by the evidence of the senses. The world will always try to convince you that nothing is happening, but the world is only a mirror. And mirrors always reflect what was already established inside. What you feel as failure is not failure. It is the old reality fading away. It is the echo of your past state dissolving, making room for the new. So breathe. Do not curse the silence. Do not name this moment defeat. Instead, see it for what it truly is. A test of whether you will believe the illusion or hold fast to the truth that imagination creates reality. Because the only real failure is giving up before the echo returns. Neville and the threshold of the miracle. You have felt it, that strange tension when everything seems hardest, when life pushes back the most. It is the moment Neville Goddard often described, without naming it directly, the threshold of the miracle. This threshold is not peaceful. It is not calm. It feels like chaos, like everything is resisting you at once. You imagine wealth and bills arrive. You imagine love and rejection knocks at your door. You imagine health and symptoms seem to worsen. It feels unfair, it feels cruel. And yet, it is the surest sign that you are close. Neville explained that persistence in imagination creates pressure. Your inner world is pressing against the outer shell of old reality. And just like a seed sprouting through hard soil, the pressure builds strongest right before the breakthrough. This is the threshold, the doorway, the place where most people turn back. Why? Because the resistance feels like failure. The pushback feels like proof that nothing is working. But in truth, the resistance is proof that everything is working. Think of a woman in labor. The contractions are not punishment. They are the sign that life is about to arrive. The pain is not the end. It is the transition into something new, and so it is with you. The discomfort you feel is not random. The chaos around you is not a curse. It is labor. It is birth. It is the sign that what you have imagined is pressing itself into visibility. Neville said, "An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact." Notice the words, "if persisted in." This is the threshold. You stand between two worlds, the old state fading, the new state demanding to be born. But only one question remains. Will you persist? Will you stand in the storm and refuse to turn back? Will you choose faith when everything screams against it? Because if you do, if you hold steady here at the threshold, then the resistance will give way, the storm will break, and the world will have no choice but to bend to your assumption. You are not failing, you are crossing the threshold, and the miracle waits just beyond it. Persisting in imagination, you close your eyes, you see it, you feel it. For a moment, the world bends to your will. The desire is yours, as real inside as if it were already in your hands. But then you open your eyes, and the outer world seems unchanged. The temptation rises. Why bother imagining again? Why keep repeating what feels unreal? This is where Neville's greatest secret lives: persistence. He taught that imagination is not a one-time act. It is a dwelling place. You must live in the end again and again until it becomes the only reality you know. The mistake most people make is waiting for the world to confirm their vision. But the world cannot lead. It can only follow. It can only mirror what you persistently hold within. Think of a sculptor. He does not strike the stone once and walk away. He chisels again and again until the form inside is revealed. So it is with your imagination. Each time you return to the scene of fulfillment, you are chiseling away the outer shell of doubt. You may not see change instantly, but something is shifting. Something invisible is hardening into fact. Persistence is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Without it, your assumption fades like a dream. With it, your assumption becomes the only truth the world can reflect. This is why Neville said, "An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact." Notice carefully. It does not matter if it feels false at first. It only matters that you persist. So the question is not, is it working? The question is, will you keep going until it does? And if you are here listening, then deep down, you already know the answer. And if this message is stirring something inside you, pause for just a moment. Hit subscribe now so that you never walk this path alone. Because every reminder, every word of faith, every teaching of Neville you receive here is fuel for your persistence. Now return. Close your eyes again. See it, feel it, stay there, dwell there, live there. Because persistence in imagination is not repetition, it is creation. And the world will have no choice but to become what you refuse to release. The inner resistance, you imagine the end, you feel the wish fulfilled. For a moment it feels real, unshakable, but then the voice inside begins, that quiet, sharp resistance. It whispers, "This is foolish, you're lying to yourself, nothing will change." This is the inner battle, not against the world outside, but against the voice within. Neville Goddard often reminded us that your only enemy is yourself, not other people, not circumstances, not fate. The true resistance rises from your own mind. Why? Because your old identity refuses to die easily. The version of you that lived in lack, in fear, in disappointment, it fights for survival. It tells you to give up so that it can stay alive. And this resistance does not always sound violent. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. It tells you, be realistic. Don't get your hopes up. Protect yourself from disappointment. But hear this clearly. That reasonable voice is the prison guard of your old life. Resistance will always appear when you stand on the edge of transformation. It is the test of whether you truly believe in imagination as reality or whether you still bow to the evidence of the senses. So what do you do when resistance rises? You do not argue with it. You do not wrestle with it. You starve it. You return again to the state of the wish fulfilled. You feed your faith, not your doubt. You choose deliberately to remain loyal to the unseen. Every time you ignore the voice of resistance and persist in imagination, that old identity weakens. Every time you give in to it, that old identity strengthens. This is why persistence matters, because persistence is not only about creating your desire, it is about recreating you. It is about dying to the old self and stepping fully into the new. So when the whispers come, do not panic, do not assume you are failing. Resistance is not a sign you are wrong. It is a sign you are on the verge of change. Stay, persist, starve the old voice, because once the resistance dies, nothing can stop the new life you have already imagined into being. The moment before victory. There is a strange paradox in life. The moment before the blessing arrives often feels like the darkest hour. You imagine, you persist, you hold the state, and suddenly everything seems to collapse around you. Bills pile up, opportunities vanish, people disappoint you, your body feels weaker, and you ask yourself, how can this be the path to victory? But this is exactly what Neville Goddard warned about. The world of the senses will always fight hardest just before it yields. Why? Because the old state must die completely before the new state can take its place. The moment before victory feels like defeat because you are standing between two realities. The old is dissolving, but not yet gone. The new is forming, but not yet seen. And in this fragile place, every fiber of your being is tempted to give up. Think of the night sky. The darkest moment is just before the first light of dawn. The silence feels endless, and then suddenly the horizon breaks and everything changes. So it is with you. This moment of heaviness, of despair, of almost giving up. It is not the end. It is the beginning disguised as the end. It is labor pain, the final push before birth. And here lies the danger. Many stop right here. They walk away one step before the door opens. They let go one breath before the answer arrives. But not you. Not this time. You must hold steady when the storm feels strongest. You must persist when the voice of reason says, it's over. Because that voice is lying. It is the voice of the dying state, clinging to existence. Your task is simple. Stay faithful one moment longer, one more day, one more night, one more time imagining, one more time feeling the end. Victory is not far. It is closer than you can see. And the proof is this. The struggle you feel now is the very sign that the breakthrough is near. Do not let go. Do not surrender. Because the moment that feels like your breaking point is the moment just before your blessing breaks through. Hidden testimonies of the law. You may not see it yet, but evidence of the law surrounds you. Quiet testimonies, hidden stories, silent proofs that imagination is always creating reality. Think of the times in your own life when you worried about something, and it happened. You imagined the worst, and the worst appeared. You felt fear, and fear took form. That was the law in motion, not against you, but through you. Now shift the lens. Think of the moments when you longed for something deeply, when you saw it so vividly inside your mind that you could almost touch it. And then it appeared. Maybe it was small, a call, a message, a chance meeting. Maybe it was life-changing, a new opportunity, a new love, a breakthrough you once thought impossible. Each of these moments is a testimony, proof that the law does not pick and choose. It simply reflects what you persistently hold in imagination. Neville Goddard collected countless stories from his students, people who imagined a new job, and suddenly doors opened, people who imagined reconciliation, and hearts softened. people who imagined abundance and money flowed in unexpected ways. These were not miracles reserved for the chosen few. They were testimonies of ordinary people applying the extraordinary power of assumption. But here is the secret. Many of these stories came after long silence, after resistance, after doubt. They almost gave up, but they didn't. And because they persisted, the invisible became visible. Your life is no different. Right now, hidden forces are moving in response to your assumption. People are being guided. Events are being rearranged. Paths are being cleared. You cannot see it yet, but testimonies are already forming in your future, and one day soon you will look back at this very moment. The struggle, the silence, the waiting, and you will tell your own testimony. You will say, I almost gave up, but I kept going, and then it happened. Your story will inspire another soul standing where you stand now, and the chain will continue, proof upon proof, testimony upon testimony, all pointing to the unshakable truth. Imagination creates reality, always. The silent discipline. There is a kind of strength that no one sees. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is quiet, steady, invisible to the outside world. This is the discipline Neville spoke of, the ability to remain faithful to your assumption when no one is watching, when no proof appears, when silence is all you hear. Anyone can imagine once. Anyone can feel inspired for a moment. But true transformation belongs to those who keep the inner vision alive when the world offers no encouragement. This is the silent discipline. It means closing your eyes and returning again and again to the state of the wish fulfilled. It means refusing to let the outer world dictate your inner world. It means training yourself to remain loyal to the unseen, even when appearances tempt you to surrender. And make no mistake, this discipline is not weakness, it is power. Because every act of persistence is an act of creation. Every time you silently hold the vision, you are bending reality in your favor. Think of the tree rooted deep in the ground. Storms may come, winds may rage, but the tree stands because its strength is not seen on the surface. Its strength is in the roots, silent, hidden, unshakable. So it must be with you. Do not underestimate the power of what you do in silence. The world may mock you. Friends may not understand. But the inner work you do is the real work. It is the foundation on which the visible miracle rests. And here is something I want you to do right now. Write in the comments the words, I stay faithful, not just as engagement, but as a declaration. Each time you type it, you affirm your silent discipline. You anchor yourself deeper into the state of faith. Let your words be a seed planted here and now, a reminder to yourself and a testimony to others that you are not quitting. Because silent discipline is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. And though the world may not see it today, tomorrow it will stand in awe of what your silence created, turning doubt into certainty. Doubt. It creeps in quietly, like a shadow. At first it whispers, what if this doesn't work? But if left unchecked, it grows louder. It's not working, you're wasting your time. Stop pretending. Every dreamer faces this battle. Even those who walk by faith feel the sting of doubt. But Neville Goddard revealed something powerful. Doubt is not the end. It is the raw material you can transform into certainty. How? First, by recognizing doubt for what it truly is, a signal. It means you are standing on the edge of transformation. It means the old self is trembling, afraid of losing control. And when you see doubt as a sign of progress, its power weakens. Second, by refusing to fight with it. You cannot wrestle doubt into silence. The more you argue with it, the stronger it becomes. Instead, you rise above it. You shift your focus. You return again to the end. Close your eyes. Enter the scene of your fulfilled desire. Feel it real. Do this not to silence doubt, but to starve it. Doubt cannot live in the same space as conviction, and every time you return to imagination, conviction grows. Third, by speaking faith out loud. Neville urged his students to declare the truth. It is done. It is finished. Not because the words themselves have magic, but because they align you with the state of fulfillment. Your spoken word reshapes your inner atmosphere. Remember, certainty is not the absence of doubt. Certainty is choosing to believe in spite of doubt. It is returning again and again to the inner truth until the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. So when doubt rises, do not panic. Do not call it failure. Call it what it truly is, a test, and use it as fuel to strengthen your persistence. Because every time you choose faith over fear, conviction over confusion, imagination over appearances, you are rewriting your destiny. You are not failing. You are transforming. You are turning doubt into the very doorway of certainty, and once certainty takes root, the world must obey. The last door before the blessing. There is a door. You cannot see it with your eyes, but you feel it with your soul. It is the final barrier, the last threshold, the invisible line between where you are and where you long to be. This is the last door before the blessing. And here is the mystery. This door does not look like a beginning. It looks like an ending. It looks like everything is collapsing, like every attempt has failed, like nothing will ever change. It feels heavier than any weight you've carried before. But that heaviness is not punishment. It is proof. Proof that the old state is breaking apart. Proof that the new reality is pressing against the walls of the unseen, waiting to burst into visibility. This is why Neville Goddard insisted that you live in the end. Because when you stand at the last door, your senses will betray you. They will scream, "It's over." But your imagination must whisper louder, "It is finished." And in that moment, your choice matters more than ever. You can turn back, and many do. Or you can step forward in faith, in silence, in persistence, and watch the door swing open. The last door is not opened by effort, it is opened by loyalty. Loyalty to the unseen, to the state already assumed, to the vision you refuse to abandon. This is why you must not stop now, because you are not far, you are closer than you think. The final resistance, the final storm, the final whisper of doubt, these are not signs of failure. They are the labor pains of your new reality being born. So hear me clearly. Do not give up at the last door. Stand, persist, believe, because the blessing is not coming. It is already yours. And if these words reached you today, do one more thing. Share this video with someone who is about to quit. You never know. Your act of faith might be the reason they keep going long enough to see their miracle. The last door is not a wall. It is an opening. And on the other side of it, your blessing is waiting. Please keep going, you are so close. You began this journey tired, heavy, and ready to quit. You felt the silence of unanswered prayers, the weight of waiting, the sting of doubt. And yet here you are, still standing, still listening, still imagining. That alone is proof of your strength. Neville Goddard's message was never about escaping life. It was about transforming it, not through effort, not through struggle, but through the quiet power of assumption. He taught you to live in the end, to claim the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and to persist until the invisible became visible. And throughout these chapters, you have seen the path. The weight of almost giving up was not the end. It was the sign that you were close. The illusion of failure was only the trick of appearances. The threshold of the miracle was the chaos before creation. Persistence in imagination was the sculptor's chisel shaping reality. The inner resistance was only the old self refusing to die. The moment before victory was the storm before dawn. Hidden testimonies reminded you that the law is always at work. Silent discipline showed you the unseen strength that sustains you. Doubt became the raw material for certainty, and the last door before the blessing revealed the final test of faith. Each stage was not random. Each was part of the unfolding of your desire, and each was meant to remind you of this one truth. Imagination creates reality. Now pause and breathe. Feel the weight begin to lift. Because the burden you carried was never proof of failure. It was proof of labor, proof that something within you is being born. You are not far. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are close. So what do you do now? You persist. You return to the end. You claim again and again the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You walk as though it is already yours, because in truth, it is. Do not look at the silence and call it failure. Do not let resistance convince you to surrender. Do not stop at the last door, because your blessing is already on the other side. And when it comes, and it will, you will not look back with regret. You will look back with gratitude, realizing that every moment of doubt, every whisper of resistance, every dark night was leading you here. One day, this chapter of your life will be your testimony. You will tell your story. I almost gave up, but I kept going, and then it happened, and someone else will hear your words and find the strength to keep going too. So let this be the final reminder. Please keep going. You are so close. And if this journey spoke to your soul, make sure you are subscribed, because the next message may arrive exactly when you need it most. Leave a comment with the words, "I will persist," not just as engagement, but as a declaration of faith, a seal on your decision. And share this with someone you love, someone who might be standing at their own last door. Because together, we form a chain of faith. Together, we remind the world of Neville's unshakable truth. What you dare to assume and persist in must one day harden into fact. So rise, breathe, continue, because the blessing is not far away. It is already yours. And all you must do is keep going.